Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yasya nahankrito bhavaha buddhiryasya na lipyate Atvapi sa iman lokan nahanti na nibhadyate jnanam jneyam parijñāta trividha karma chodanam karanam karma karteti trividha karma sangraham jnanam karma ca karta ca tridhaiva guna bhedatah रोच्यते गुणसंख्याने यथावच्छृणुतान्यपि सर्वभूतेषु येनैकम् भावमव्ययमीक्षते अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि सात्विकम् पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ञानम् नानाभावान् पृथग्विधान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि राजसम् So if the body is a mobile, then the mobility belongs to the body. Mobility belongs to only that which moves. If you are sitting in the car, and the car is moving, but you are sitting still. You are not moving even your hand. You are just car is moving, but you are still. But it can create an illusion, I am also moving. See, there is a difference between illusion and reality. I am mobile is a notion. But if you look at yourself very closely, you are sitting in the car, but your hands are not moving, your feet are not moving, even your mind is not moving, it's just quiet. You are just dozing off. Quiet, physically quiet. You are not even talking, you are orally quiet, you are mentally quiet. That you are quiet is the fact about you sitting in the car. That the car is moving is true. That car is moving, but the one who happens to be sitting in the car is not moving. It doesn't seem to be very convincing, Swamiji, what are you saying? Car is moving, but I am sitting in the car, I am not moving. It creates an illusion that you are moving, but from your own point of view, you are not moving, you are quiet. and you are not even a part of the car. When you are not even a part of the car, when the car moves, every part of the car moves, but the one who is sitting in the car is not a part of the car. He can get off the car. He is temporarily abiding in the car. He is not a part of the car. Similarly, we as a conscious being, we are temporarily abiding in equation with the form, but we are not a part of the form. Like you wear a shirt, but it's not a part of you. You are not a part of the shirt. I wear the shirt. Neither I am a part of the shirt, nor shirt is a part of me. Even though you may think, oh no, Swamiji, it is a part of. See, a casual thinking is different from a very serious thinking. You are not a part of your shirt. So if you are a part of your shirt, when the shirt is sent to the dhobi for ironing, you should also go with the shirt. ऐसा होता है? नहीं होता है ना? Thank God. Hey Bhagavan, you will also come under the box then. Yeah, coming under that hot box is not a very desirable thing. Just as I wear a shirt, but we wear a shirt, we are not a part of the shirt, nor the shirt is a part of us, it's a big wisdom. Similarly, we are wearing a form. I like this word wearing. It's like a wearing. Bhagavan Krishna also uses this term. Just as the body wears a shirt, how a shirt is worn by the body, so is the body worn by the conscious eye. It's worn. I put on the form. But even though we put on the form, neither we are a part of the form nor a form is a part of us. Therefore, when the form is not a part of us, its movement also is not a part of us. That means all movements belong to those which move. The body moves. So body's movement belongs only to the body and don't carry it elsewhere. The mental movement only belongs to the mind. Don't carry it elsewhere. Like mentally you go to America and come back. It's not a physical movement. In the mind you went to America. You remember something in America. And then when you go to mentally there, when you physically went there, you were thoroughly exploited. Your daughter-in-law said, Mommy, please, these days it's very expensive. You better do the cooking and we will go to office and come back. Therefore, so you were there as a Ramu there. You played the role of a Ramu there. You having burnt your fingers, you come back, and then now when you remember it, immediately you come back. Who knows, you may be again caught. See, you went to America and come back. You went to America and came back. Did the body go? The mental movement belongs only to the mind. Thought moves. Thought moves. I think of this, I think of that. This is all called the mental movement. It is not the movement of consciousness. It is the movement of the mind, the thinking. It is the movement of memory. It is the movement of memory. Therefore you go on moving. Therefore, the mind's movement belongs only to the mind. Don't carry it elsewhere. This is what I wanted to tell. The body's movement belongs only to the body. Don't carry it elsewhere. Don't read it elsewhere. Don't read it into something. I am physically walking and I am also thinking of that walking. Then I am physically moving and mentally also moving. I am walking and also thinking, thinkingly walking or walkingly thinking. That means I am mentally moving, I am physically moving. The eyes move. The movement of the eyes belongs only to the eyes. The ears hear, the movement of the ears. The hearing also is a kind of a movement. It's a kind of a spandana. It's a kind of a spandana. But what Krishna says is, you are a conscious being, and in that conscious identity there is no movement. In that conscious identity of yourself there is no movement. It is stillness, it is silence, it is peace. You are by nature peaceful. Don't read the movement of the body into your being. Don't read the movement of the motion of thought into your being. Don't read the motion of your desire into your being. Don't read what doesn't belong to you, don't impose it on yourself. Simple. What doesn't belong to you, let it not belong to you. Don't try to see it as yours. It's like somebody's property doesn't belong to me. It's not mine. Such a freedom thing. It's not mine is a greater freedom than it is mine. Really. If it is mine, then you have to manage it. It's not that great freedom. It's a struggle. It's not mine. It's also great freedom thing. Not mine. If somebody occupies it, let him occupy it. Baad mein jaye. What a freedom thing. Baad mein jaye. It's a great freedom. Similarly, the moment you read the physical movement into the being, mental movement into the being, memory movement into the being, then the motion, movement, motion, struggle. It is a struggle. It's a fatiguing thing. Motions fatigues. If I read the motion into my being, the physical movement, if I read it into my being, then I am all the time feeling, I'm tired. As a conscious identity, you have no fatigue because you are a silent witness. You are a choicelessly conscious being. Like silence is, without struggle. The sound has to make struggle to be formed. The sound has to take birth. It experiences the labor pains. The sound experiences the labor pains. But the silence silently is. Our conscious identity is a silent being. Therefore here Krishna says, don't impose the physical qualities on your conscious identity. Don't impose your biological qualities on your conscious identity. Don't impose your emotional qualities on your conscious identity. Discern between your biological identity and your conscious identity. Our glory lies in our conscious identity. In fact, a living being's glory lies in its conscious identity. Consciousness by nature is unlimited and that is eternal. Like the space in physical terms, just as the space by its nature it is boundless. It doesn't have to expand, it is already boundless. The space cannot stretch its boundaries. It's mind-boggling even to think of the expanse, the extent of the physical space. Your mind stops. You can't visualize. Therefore, just as the space, it is the nature of the space to be boundless. It is the nature of our conscious identity to be unlimited. In fact, even physical space is accommodated within the conscious identity. Why? Because it falls in our sight. The space falls in our sight. And if it falls in our sight, then definitely the sight is bigger than. Wave falls within the scope of water, so water is bigger than wave. Wave has a dimension. Water is vast. Like this, Bhagavan says, hey, don't confuse between your existence and your form. Don't get confused. Don't look down. Don't think your existence is only just this much, this form alone. It's a facade. It is just a facade. It's like a shirt to the body. But shirt is not a part of the body. Swamiji, what about imported shirt? That is also not a part of the body. That is also not a part of the body. So whether it is an elegantly looking body or not so elegantly looking body, it's not a part of our being. You see, we all have the same perfection as a conscious being. We have no gradation. There are no distinctions. The forms are, we can always make comparisons. This is taller, this is shorter, this is fairer, this is darker, this is more good looking, this is not so good. These headaches pertain only to the forms. And thoughts. Thoughts also can be judged. Thoughts can be judged. It's a good thought, it's a bad thought, it's a disturbing thought, etc. But conscious identity, that I am aware of all of them. I am aware of the body, I am aware of the thoughts, I am aware of the whole physical, physiological, mental existence. The one who is aware, that is what we are. That cannot be judged. You can't judge it because every living being is the same truth. And therefore here Bhagavan says, don't read the struggles of the body and the mind into your being. You'll be more frustrated. If the shirt is torn, don't ascribe it to your body. If the shirt has certain the problems of that shirt, or the imperfections of that shirt, or the beauty or the ugliness of that shirt doesn't belong to you, doesn't belong to the body. The perfections or the imperfections of the shirt, they don't belong to the body. And similarly, the perfections or the imperfections of the body don't belong to. Perfections means relative perfections. Subjective idea that it is good looking and not so good looking. These ideas don't belong to the self. As conscious beings, we illumine the ideas, but idea is not a part of the illumined. The illumined cannot be a part of the illuminer. Isko pakad lena. The illumined is not a part of the illuminer. The table that is illumined by the light is not a part of the light. The light lights up the object, but what it lights up is not a part of. Therefore, we are aware of the body and the mind, and that body and the mind cannot be a part of the one who is aware of them. To be aware of means to illumine. To be aware of, to illumine, to light up. These are all synonyms. Conscious. Therefore, Bhagavan says, in order to be happy, understand your spiritual conscious identity. Your problem should be solved in the light of yourself. If I have problems, I can't dump them somewhere. If I have problems, I should solve them in the light of myself. If the wave has fears of death, if the wave says, my God, I'm just now born, and I don't know how long I will play about, and I don't know when I will disappear, so it is really, it is very nervous about its halat. So when the other wave comes and asks, kya hal hai? And then this wave says, halat itna kharab hai, theek nahi hu. Now, how is it going to solve that problem? Where is it going to dump that fear of death? Where is it going to dump it? It has to fall back on itself, I'm telling you. If the problem is felt by me, and right there is the answer. Where the problem is felt, right there is the answer. Right there is the underlying the problem is the answer. It's not outside the problem. Underlying the problem is the answer. As a form, the wave fears death, but as water, it doesn't die. It has continuity. So when the wave looks at itself more closely, more fundamentally, instead of looking at itself only merely topically, empirically, terms of form, which looks at itself more fundamentally, terms of substance, then its problem is solved. Therefore, where is the solution? Right there underlying the problem. All our problems, the way underlying our mind is the truth. Underlying our thinking is the truth. I don't know whether you understand this phrase underlying. Underlying means right there. Like the wood underlies the table. In that sense, I am using this phrase underlying. Wood underlies the table. Gold underlies the ornament. Similarly, the truth underlies the entire thinking. Therefore, when that underlying truth I don't see, then I am in ignorance of the truth. in ignorance of the truth about myself, I am punished. Truth ununderstood punishes me. Truth ununderstood. It's like when I tell a lie, it will take its toll on me, even in day-to-day living. Any small mistake takes little small toll on me. But the mistake, not understanding the evident, obvious, intimate truth is the biggest mistake. Therefore, the biggest mistake has to shell out, has to give me the biggest problem, the biggest, meaning the most intense suffering. For example, the fear of death is no ordinary suffering. Fear of death, fear of limitation, jealousies, all what we call empirical problems are indeed spiritual problems. Yes, in self-ignorance, all imperfections are churned out. Jealousies are churned out. Hatred is churned out. Enmity is churned out. In ignorance, all imperfections are churned out, and I suffer my imperfections. We suffer our own imperfections more than others. You can ignore others. We can ignore others' thoughts, but we can't ignore our own. This problem to hide. But now the problem is we all think some psychology will help us, or some kind of material prosperity will help. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. No, there is no answer to ignorance. If I am suffering due to ignorance of the truth about myself, then I have to look at myself. The only answer is I have to fall back on myself. I don't know whether I follow this expression. The wave has to fall back on itself. We have to fall back on our being. The biological individual has to fall back on his conscious identity. And therefore Bhagavan said, in order to be free from your problems, look at yourself. Don't look here and there. कुछ मिलेंगे नहीं हैं. Even if you look here and there, कुछ नहीं मिलेंगे. समझिए, what about America? कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. Wherever you go, to understand this truth will take so many years. कहीं भी कुछ भी नहीं है. If you have already understood it, you are a wise person. कहीं भी कुछ भी नहीं है. What we want is not available everywhere in the creation. What we are in need of, we are in need of freedom from the struggle. We are in need. We are in need of peace. We are in need of inner comfort. We are in need of inner relaxation. We are in need of effortless relaxation. That is not available anywhere. Wherever you go, they teach us efforts and struggles. Karma and bhoga. ये काम करो, इतना पैसा मिलेंगे, फिर उसके बाद ये खा सकते हैं, ये पी सकते हैं. You can enjoy, you can go for a ride. Everywhere we are told actions, results, and the thrilling pleasures. If you want the thrilling pleasures, then you need money, for which you have to work, and here is the opportunity. Work. That is all right for survival. But beyond survival, my actions can't help me, the results can't help me, my pleasures also can't help me. Beyond survival. And survival includes also falling sick, etc. So I make money and then I fall sick and then I go to the hospital. And then again I survive. That money is useful for me to continue to survive. If I have to survive, sometimes we survive through the hospital, sometimes we even survive the hospital. Bahapare, we have to survive the hospital. Not easy, ji. Therefore, please understand, it is not at all useful to close one's eyes, keep one's eyes closed to the reality. The reality is, what we are in need of is not available anyway. Creation at best can give me comfortable survival. I can nourish myself, I can be in good health. Creation can give me good health, can give me physical security. These are all good. And inwardly I am still uncomfortable. There is something more. Even if you have physical securities, the sense of insecurity doesn't go. बहुत बड़ी बात है जी. Despite the physical security, lot of money, the sense of insecurity doesn't go forever. You feel little sadness because there is a sense of insecurity, I collect securities. But despite the accumulation of securities, the fact that there continues to be a sense of insecurity, despite everything, I am available to feel insecure. I am subject to feel insecure. At a given moment, I may feel comfortable, there are chokidar, there is money, sab kuch theek hai, but still, I am still vulnerable to feel insecure. Self-knowledge liberates you from that sense of vulnerability. That vulnerability, as a form I am always vulnerable. As a biological individual, we are all vulnerable. Vulnerability is something, even when you have everything, you feel happy, but you are still vulnerable. Therefore, we have to fall back on ourselves, for which the Scripture helps you to look at yourself. Scripture helps you to look at yourself. और कुछ नहीं है. Okay, जी, next verse. यस्य नाहंकृतो भावः. Yasya, for whom ahankrito bhavaha na. Can you just put it out, please? That switch. Yeah. Bas, thank you. Yasya, for whom na ahankrito bhava. The one who doesn't have the ahankara. The one who doesn't have the ahankara. The one who doesn't all the time judge himself in terms of the form he has, in terms of his education, in terms of his societal identity, in terms of the physical, biological and mental. The one who is not all the time looking at himself in terms of these things. Says, I am like anybody else. He is a wiser person. I am like anybody else. There is no difference. I am like anybody else. Nothing great. Everybody is conscious, I am conscious. Everybody is hungry, I am hungry. Everybody wants to be happy, I also want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy, I want to be happy. Everybody wants to be peaceful, I want to be peaceful. Fundamentally, there cannot be any difference from the truth and the truth. Within the truth, there cannot be any differences. Therefore, the differences are all perceived because the non-different truth is not seen. When the oneness is not seen, we only see the multiplicity, variety. Variety takes possession of our mind. Variety takes possession of our mind. It obsesses our thinking. when the oneness is not seen. So here Bhagavan says, Yasya nahankrito bhava, the one who doesn't have ahankara, the one who always thinks in terms of his conscious identity. I am aware, nothing else. Form is an appearance, thoughts are an appearance, emotions are an appearance, everything is an appearance. But the one who is the observer, the conscious being, that is a solid truth. You see, I'll give you an example. Thought I observe, but thought changes, but my observing status doesn't change. What a great, glorious thinking. Thought changes, emotions change, but my observing status, my conscious status doesn't change. I leave the waking and go to the dream, there also I am aware of the dream. I wake up and I am aware of the waking. And when I go to the deep sleep state, there also it is a state of experiencing freedom from both. It's an experience, it's awareness. Peace also is an experience. Nobody falls asleep unless Shanti is an experience. Everybody craves for a tranquil state called sleep because it is his experience. Tranquility also is experience. If disturbance is a matter of experience, tranquility also is experience. You don't have to argue. If sound is an experience, silence also is an experience. And the one who experiences is the truth. His experiencing nature doesn't change. He may have misjudgments about that experience. His experience, he may have, there is a hum, ji. There is the misjudgments about the experiencer may be wrong. The judgments may be wrong. But that identity that I am conscious is not a judgment. That I experience is not a judgment. That I am aware is not a judgment. That we are aware is not a judgment. You see, when I look at a person and say he is a good person, that is a judgment. But that I am aware of him is not a judgment. That's a conscious fact. That I am aware. To be aware. Yasya nahankrito bhavaha. Bhagavan says the one who has become matured enough to look at himself more fundamentally than in terms of form, than in terms of emotions and thoughts, than in terms of the wealth he has, than in terms of his family identities, than in terms of his social identities. If he is able to look at himself more fundamentally as a conscious being, such a person, yasya nahankrito bhavaha buddhir yasya na lipyate, and whose buddhi is not tainted, whose thinking is not distorted. Buddhi becoming tainted means the thinking becoming distorted. I am a form, that is called the tainted thinking. Tainted thinking, it's a wrong thinking. Anything wrong is called tainted. If the wave thinks I am a form, I will die, I am scared, in ignorance of its own fundamental identity called vata, that is called a tainted thinking. Any misjudgment is tainted thinking. Any wrong thinking is tainted thinking. As long as my sister-in-law is there, I can't be happy. Tainted thinking. Yes. Tainted thinking. Oh, if I marry that person, I will be very happy. Definitely tainted thinking. It's all tainted thinking. Just because you get associated with the person, it can't guarantee you happiness. Happiness is not so thing. Say that happiness is the nature of the truth. Yasya nahankrito bhavaha buddhiryasya na lipyate hatva pisaiman lokan. A person who thinks about himself fundamentally and thinks about himself correctly, even if he has committed so many crimes, hatva, killed. In his past lives he has killed many. Hatva api, saha, such a person, iman lokan, these worlds. He might have committed many crimes in the past. Na hantina lipyate. He has not killed at all. Meaning, he is liberated from all his past. Freedom from the past is only through the knowledge of the truth. Truth liberates me from time. Truth is timeless. Truth is timeless. Now, let me talk to you in the technical terms. The timeless truth liberates me from the idea that I am in time. Discovering that it is a rope liberates me from the idea that it is snake. Discovering that I am water liberates me from the idea that I am a wave. Discovering the conscious identity as a timeless, discovering one's conscious identity as timeless liberates one from the idea that I am in time. When I say I am in time, then I am in the past, present and time bound. So, if I am in time, then whatever I have done in time will catch me. I become answerable to my past. That is the law of causation. And the law of causation is a part of creation. Law of karma. So in understanding that we are fundamentally conscious, and which is the timeless conscious identity, liberates me from all the past. So I get liberated from the law of karma only through the truth. Truth liberates me from all my, from the ignorance and ignorance bond time, and the time bond actions and actions bond results. Everything. Like when I wake up from the dream, whatever I might have done in the dream, I am not answerable to it. I am not answerable to what I did in the dream. Because it is dreamt. I have understood it is dreamt. It is not willed by me, it is dreamt. Even if I willed something inside the dream, even that willing was dreamt. Bahut badi baat hai ji. Even willing was dreamt. Similarly here also, Bhagavan says, when therefore in order to be free, fall back on yourself, the conscious identity, which is the timeless, and the timeless knowledge about the timeless liberates you from time, and freedom from time is freedom from all that I did in time, and freedom from all that I did in time means freedom from all the results also. Therefore, when I wake up from the dream, I am free from all the dream details. Okay, ji. Next verse, ji. आराम से सुनना। ज्ञानम ज्ञेयम परिज्ञाता,
ज्ञानम ज्ञेयम परिज्ञाता,
त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना,
त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना,
करणं कर्म कर्तेति,
करणं कर्म कर्तेति,
त्रिविधा कर्म संग्रह।
त्रिविधा कर्म संग्रह.
This verse has a lot packed in it. Very difficult for me to explain everything, but I'll try. Certain fundamentals of life must be understood. The fundamentals of our life are that as soon as I get up, I have some desire for something. Why does the desire take place? The reason for desire is there is a certain sense of incompleteness. I am not choicelessly relaxed. I am not choicelessly relaxed. When the space knows that I am choicelessly boundless, it has no desire to become little vaster. Space has no desire to become, it has no desire to extend its boundaries. It has no desire to extend its boundaries because it is aware that it is boundless. It can't improve upon itself. It is effortlessly, choicelessly relaxed. It is. That kind of, even though I am also conscious being also is boundlessly, it is unlimited because everything falls in its scope. Vaster than even space, in the sense, the space appears and disappears within conscious being. So conscious being, even though we are that in ignorance of that vastness, in ignorance of my fullness, in ignorance of my fullness, I feel incomplete. This is the most fundamental detail of life. You have to capture it. The most fundamental detail to be understood in life is understanding the reason for desire. The reason for desire is I feel incomplete. Why do I feel incomplete? Because I don't look at my fullness. If the space decides, if the space desires to extend its boundaries, then it is only because it doesn't know it is already boundless. If the space has a desire to extend, it wants to imitate China. Space wants to extend its boundaries. Like China. China also wants to extend its boundaries. Just saying. कुछ example तो देना पड़ेंगे ना. Swamiji, space wants to extend its boundaries. Like what? Supposing you ask me a question, I have to give you an example. Ji. Therefore, even before you ask for an example, I am giving you an example like China. What is it due to? If space wants to extend its boundaries, what is it due to? Ignorance. It doesn't know that it is already boundless. Similarly, in the morning I get up and I want to extend my boundaries. I want to extend the boundaries of my wealth, the boundaries of my pleasures, the boundaries of my comforts, the boundaries of my physical well-being. I want to all the time extend my boundaries. I want to extend and extend. Why? Because I feel I am incomplete. Why do I feel incomplete? I don't look at myself, my fullness. Self-ignorance. is the reason behind every desire. These are the alphabet of life. This is the very alphabet of life. इसको नहीं समझेंगे, even if we become a doctorate in this or that, nothing is understood really. If I don't know my scripture, if I don't know the scripture called Vedanta, which talks such sanity to me, and then even if the space doesn't know its boundary-free vastness, and even if it becomes a doctorate in this or that, it will still have desire. Why? Because it is still ignorant of its fullness. Therefore, the basic alphabet of life is finding out the reason, the cause for desire. The cause for desire is not lack of things. The cause for desire is not some kind of individual imperfection. The cause for desire is not some kind of lack of education. It is lack of self-understanding. It is lack of education about oneself. Therefore, and when I am ignorant about myself, and when I feel incomplete, and in the morning as soon as I wake up, I know only one thing: think of a desire and work for it. There is no other program. All programs boil down to one program: entertain a desire and pursue it. Pursue a desire. Think of a desire and pursue it. आज गुड़गांव जाना है, pursue it. हाँ जी, आज गुड़गांव जाना है. वहाँ पर थोड़ा एक जमीन है, उसको देखना है. Pursue it. रात 10 बज जाएंगे, जब तक वापस आएंगे थक जाएंगे एंड सो जाएंगे, जिसमें कोई गुड़गांव ही नहीं है. Therefore, but anyway, in ignorance, हम भटकते हैं, and they have no meaning at all. They may look meaningful, but they have no meaning. This is what we call going round and round and round and round. Bhatakana. In the dark, what does one do? Grope. That is the word, grope. When you are groping in the dark, and if that groping gives you some entertainment, then you say it is all meaningful. Yes. Even groping is looked upon as meaningful as long as if it entertains you. Similarly, all our pursuing desires, etc., going to Gurgaon, etc., all these things, they look meaningful. Bhatkana also looks meaningful as long as it gives you some entertainment. It's all groping. In ignorance, whatever we do, it is groping. And therefore now, this is the alphabet. I have given you the knowledge of the basic alphabet of life. The reason for desire. And then, in addition to the self-ignorance, in order to perform an action, we require 3 details. That is what Bhagavan says here. Jnana. In order to desire an object, I must know the object. Not only I must be aware of the object, I must impose on the object some pleasure-giving quality. If I got that object, it's going to be very nice. So I have a subjective taste for it. All taste is subjective, please. That's why it keeps changing. Your taste keeps changing. Why it is subjective? Subjective in the sense, it doesn't remain, it is not universal. it's not the same for life. Isn't it? Desire to eat is a need, not subjective. Desire to eat, when you are hungry, it is a need, it is not a subjective. Needs are not subjective. Needs are universal. Needs are holy, sacred. And to meet our needs it gives us life. But if I think of that object, that particular masala dosha, the Sagarwala masala dosha has lost its standard. That is Sharavana Bhavan, Yes, that Sharavana Bhavan wala, bahut badhiya hai. Sharavana Bhavan. Their dal also is very good, their sambar is very good. We think all this. And supposing you visit the same Sharavana Bhavan for a few days and afterwards you say, ye bhi theek nahi hai. Not, it remains the same. Sometimes I get vexed. Sometimes we get vexed with the same thing. And when I no longer enjoy it, then I say it has fallen, it has lost its standard. Samajh gaya na? It's like a husband saying, my wife has lost her charm. Hey. Your wife is the same poor thing. You have lost, you have become vexed. Why? If you look at a person as an object of pleasure, you can never continue to love her. I am telling you. This is a simple wisdom. If you love a person as an object of your pleasure, you cannot continue to love that person. No. Impossible. More than a pleasure, you have to have a higher value for the person. If you have a higher value for the person, a value that doesn't just change, a value which is always your need, a value that is synonymous with the truth, a value that is ever comforting, that value, then you can continue to love her even if she has developed some skin problem. Face is not the same, koi baat nahi. She has developed white spots, it doesn't matter. She is the same person. You cannot change, you cannot grow out of a value, you can grow out of a pleasure. You can grow out of attraction, you can't grow out of a value. Therefore, mostly people marry for sense pleasure. Otherwise, why should you only think of fairness, height, money? Nobody really goes into that person's thinking, that person's values. वो कुछ नहीं देखते हैं, कितना पैसा है, and what is the height, what is the fairness, photogenic or not. That means what? Even though we all say you should not look upon your wife or husband as an object of pleasure, but generally that is what happens, yes. That is what happens. That is why slowly, husband gets vexed with the wife, wife gets vexed with the husband, because they are not a value for each other, they are only a pleasures for each other. तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाएंगे. If I look upon the food as a value, dal as a value, I don't get tired of it. If I just eat only for the taste of it, then I have to keep changing food. Today one restaurant, tomorrow. Why? Because I am all the time hunting for the new taste. Anyway, Ji, I have given you enough. Jnanam. When not only I should know the object, I should imagine, I should impose on it some extra quality which it doesn't have. This is called Shobhanadhyasa. You can write down the word. Shobhanadhyasa. Shobhanadhyasa means imposing, subjectively imposing on the objects some attraction which it doesn't have really. If it has, then it should continue to have. It's not an object. Attractiveness is not an objective quality. It is a subjective imposition. So, in order for me to take up, to do an action, to begin some hunt for something, I must know the object. Then alone the hunt begins. What else? I must have the knowledge of the object. Then jnayam, the availability of the object. Parijnata, and I should be there alive. I should be there with vitality. I should have the knowledge of the object, and there should be availability of the object, and I should also be available. I must have the vitality to pursue it. That is called parijnata. Trividha, these three are the conditions. Karma chodana, which prompt you to hunt for things, which put life into you and then says, go after it. Chodana means, they create in you the drive for actions, the drive for action, the drive for struggle. They put life into you, kind of a drive. Chalo, usko pakadna hai, I must have it. Such a beautiful thing, I must get it. How should I go about? Like this, like this, like this. That is what is called, 3 months courses, 6 months courses in the city are nothing but help you how to go about things and how to achieve them, which is the part of our material life. They are not bad or anything, they are good. Human beings have to do. But anyway, Krishna he is not doing saying anything. He says, understand life. You don't have to do anything, understand yourself. What is happening, understand. What you are, understand. Continue. You can continue your duty, your business, everything, but understand the appearance as different from the substance that you are, the reality. Live with the appearance, pursue the appearances, doesn't matter. You can live in the realm of appearances, but with the knowledge of the appearance as appearance and the substance as substance. This is what he is going to say. Then the next line we will see in the next class. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Hari Om.